So, good afternoon, sir. Ang ako ang una i-discuss is ang juvenile delinquency and juvenile justice system. So, lesson 1 is we have juvenile delinquency overview. So, historical background of juvenile delinquency and juvenile justice system. We have Code of Hammurabi. So, when we say Code of Hammurabi is it serves as the foundation for the legal principle known as Lex Talionis, which advocates for retributive justice in the form of an eye for an eye. So, when we say an eye for an eye, sir, is kumbaga, kung mupatay ka, kung unsay mong buhaton, maupod ang mabalik sa imo, that is eye for an eye. Kung mupatay ka, patyon pud kanila. So, next is we have stubborn child law. So, it authorized the punishment of death for children who defied their parents. So, ang stubborn child law is, it authorized the punishment of death. I-authorize niya ang punishment of death for children who defied, or kanang who defied, when say who defied is musukol or musupak sa ilahang parents, sa ilahang ginikanan. So, we have, next is, we have, child-only law. So, due to increasing demand on the state to take responsibility for improving the lives of children. Kumbaga, ang children-only law is, kani siya nga law is, mura bitag, mo'y nagkuan nga, responsibility sa usa ka state, nga, i-improve ang lives sa usa ka children. And then the 1916 Keating-Owen Act passed by the United States Congress and becomes the first piece of child labor in America. So we have next is child saving movement. Si child saving movement is concerned citizens eventually formed a social activities group called child savers. So who believe that children were born good and became bad. So, si child savers, kaning child saving movement is kanang believe that ang bata ko no, gipanganak siya nga maayo and became bad siya. So, juvenile children will blame on bad environments. The best way to save children was to get them out of bad. So, of course, kung gusto nimo i-save ang usa ka children, dapat imo siyang ipalayo ngadto sa mga bad things or kanang bad people para dili siya ma-influensyahan. Next is we have parents patria. During the heights of child savers, this doctrine was created. It is the right and responsibility of the government to take care of minors and others who cannot legally take care of themselves. So, si parents patria is kani siya kanang murag kani siya ay dili siya murag siya jud ang nagkuan nga katungod og responsibilidad sa usa ka government nga ampingan nila ang usa ka minors and katong uban nga dili pa nila kaya nga atimanon or ampingan ang ilahang kaugalingon mo ni si parents patria. So next is we have medical model. Kini si medical model is established by the Linnaeus Court Act, viewing crimes as the disease that could be treated and cured by social intervention. So, kani si medical model is diri ma-cured ang mga sayop sa mga bata. Kani si medical model. Next is we have si Bridewell. It was the first house of corrections in England. So, first house of corrections in England. First nga prisuhan sa England. Next is we have next is the Hospice of San Michael or Saint Michael. This was established in 1704. John Howard, a former, brought to England from Rome a model of the first institution for treating juvenile offenders. The House of Refuge It was situated in New York in 1825. It was opened to house juvenile delinquents who were defined in its character as youths convicted of criminal offenses or found in vagrancy. So the next is let's move on to the module 2. Juvenile delinquency. The basic concepts and definitions. One is we have juvenile. A juvenile refers to an individual who has not yet reached adulthood. So, ang kaning juvenile, murag, sila, ang bitang mga tao nga, wala pa na, sa tawag gani, wala pa, dili pa sila totally nga, mabilong sa adulthood mo na ang aning juvenile. So, or the age of majority. This term encompasses children, adolescents, minors, youths, or individuals below the age of 18. So, mo na sila ang juvenile. Kumbaga, dili pa sila mabilong dito sa adulthood kay underage pa man sila, below 18 years old. Mo na juvenile. So, kanipod sila is kanang not fully developed pa ba. The next is we have delinquent. A delinquent is someone who repeatedly engage in criminal behavior. When we say delinquent, kanang mga people nga balik-balik na lang bitaw sila engage anang criminal behavior, kumbaga mangawat sila. Kanang primitiho nila ang ilang pagpangawat ba, dili sila magmatngon sa ilang mga pangbuhat nga sayo. Mo na delinquent kanang magbalik-balik og commit og crime ang ana. Delinquent. Next is juvenile delinquency. Juvenile delinquency refers to criminal actions carried out by individuals who are considered juvenile. So, juvenile delinquency refers to criminal actions. Kani is kanang mga bad actions nga gi-carried out sa usa ka people or individuals nga ma-considered siya as juveniles. When we say juveniles is katong below 18 years old, mo na juvenile delinquency, mga criminal actions nga ginabuhat sa mga below 18 years old, juvenile delinquency. So, next is we have deviant behavior. So, deviant behavior is characterized by actions that do not conform to established norms. Next is we have juvenile crime. Juvenile crime in legal terms, it encompasses various offenses committed by individuals under the age of 18. So when say encompasses of various offenses, I think in my own understanding lang, various offenses is daghan na nga mga offenses, mga nga gi-commit bitaw kanang daghan various offenses, daghan ng mga offense ang ilahang gi-commit, kumbaga juvenile crime nga gi-commit sa usa ka minors, youth, or below 18 years old, juvenile crime na siya. Ang status offenses, ang makakommit ani is ang minor lang, minor below 18 years old. So kanang status offenses are actions that only juveniles can commit. So, ang makakommit na kita ni is ang juvenile or minors and are adjudicated exclusively by juveniles courts. So, example, mulayas sa balay ang minor. Ang minor ay makakommit. Next is stages of delinquency. We have emergence. The child begins with petty larceny between 8 and sometime during the 12-year exploration. He or she then may move on to shoplifting and vandalism between ages. So, kani siya kay murag stages, magka-level up ang iyahang makumit. So, si exploration is mangawat na siya, mag-shoplifting na, mag-vandalism, magsulat-sulat sa public, anak. Next is we have between ages 12 to 14 years old. So, explosion. When we say explosion, at the age 13, there is a substantial increase in variety and seriousness. Kumbaga, kung mang-shoplifting lang siya, shoplifting and vandalism, si exploration. Si explosion is more seriously spaghetti ha mag-commit. Ang para sa ko is ako example ani is mag-commit na siya og murder, magpatay na siya og tawo. Murag mao na siya ang example ani explosion. The next is we have conflagration. Conflagration at around 15, 4 or more types of crime are added. So mga various mga multiple crimes na ang iyahang makumit. Kung sa exploration is mag-shoplifting and vandalism siya, sa explosion is kanang mupatay na gid siya. Sa conflagration is kato si shoplifting, vandalism, mupatay o mangawat, mo na siya, mahulog na siya sa conflagration kay 4 or more types of crime are added man. So, classification of delinquency. Unsocialized aggression. Children who are rejected and or abandoned, no parents to imitate and become aggressive. Kumbaga, kaning unsocialized aggression is kanang murag pasagdan grabe po ang mga minor. Una dayon nga makakommit na dayon sila, mag-become aggressive na sila, then makakommit na sila og crime kay tungod gipasagdan na sila, wala may parents nga maka-guide sa ilaha. Next is socialized delinquency. Socialized delinquency is members is fraternities or groups that advocate bad things. So socialized delinquency is makibilong na sila or mabilong na sila sa kanang mga ganggang, fraternities, or kanang mga other groups nga usually ang ilang gina-advocate is bad things. Next is over-inhibited. Over-inhibited group who secretly trained children to do illegal activities. So, kani si over-inhibited is group of people ni siya. It is a group of people nga ilahang gina-train ang mga ilahang ginapasikreto og train ang mga children ba para mukumit og mga criminal actions or bad things like pagpangawat, shoplifting or magbandalism, mangulata, mga ingana guro. So we have let's move on to pathway to delinquency. Si pathway to delinquency is authority. Number 1 is we have authority conflict pathway. So si authority conflict pathway is children at young or early age begin to show stubborn behavior. So kani si authority conflict is kanang children at young or early age begin to show stubborn behavior. Kumbaga kani sila nga mga delinquents, juvenile or mga minors is kanang mga gahig ulo, mahimo na silang gahig ulo, became stubborn behavior. Ang covert pathway, it begins with minor deceitful behavior that leads to property damage. Kumbaga ang deceitful is deceitful behavior that leads to property damage. Next is overt pathway. It will start with minor aggression, physical fighting, and then to violence. So, physical fighting, away na sila, makisumbagay. Then, mamigay na din sila, ma-violente na dayon. Types of delinquent youth. Socialized delinquent youth who became delinquent as a result of their social association. Socialized delinquency is kana bitang became sila delinquent or mga mag-commit na sila og crime. It's because nga nakadepende magud sa kana bitang ilahang gina-socialize ng mga tawo. Kumbaga mura sila kung unsay buhaton ato sa uban, pero ilahang masuon ba or maawat, that is socialized delinquent. Kung pananglitan ng ilang circle of friends is mga bad people. So, ma-adapt nila ang ginabuhat at itong ilahang amigo. Kung na matakdan sila mo, ni ang socialized delinquent. Kung nang murag naka-depend sa ilahang circle of friends, anak, guro. Ay, dili, guro. Ginang nakadepend ang ilahang ginabuhat tungod kay nakakita na nila sa ilang circle of friends. Socialized delinquent. Next is we have neurotic delinquents. Youth who became delinquent as a result of distortions in their personality and perception of the around them. Next is we have psychotic delinquents. Youth with severe personality disturbance or their perception of the society and people around them. Sociopathic youths that are characterized by an egocentric personality. Other classifications of delinquents, environmental delinquents, they are occasional law breakers. Occasional law breakers is, I think, ang para sa kong pagsabot ani is kanang maka dili lang kay severe, dili nimo sila ma-considered as kanang mga criminal na gid kaayo, kay occasional law breakers naman sila, environmental delinquents. Next is we have emotionally maladjusted delinquents. They are chronic law breakers who make law breaking a habit they cannot avoid or escape. Kanang emotionally maladjusted delinquents is kanang dili nila kaya i-avoid ang mga something criminal actions. Next is si psychiatric delinquents. They are youths who became delinquents due to mental illness. Mabecame sila delinquents or criminal tungod sa ilahang sakit tungod kay sila sakit sa utok, mental illness. Next is occasional delinquents. These delinquents participate in group. They do what others are doing. Kumbaga, madani sila sa usa ka grupo nga na ba? Like kanang these delinquents participate in group. Participate sila sa usa ka group of people or circle of friends nila. Participate sila dito. Ila pong kung usay buhaton sa ilang circle of friends, ila pong nang buhaton. That is maladjusted occasional delinquents. Next is maladjusted delinquents. The activity stems from personality disturbance rather than gang activities. Next is we have gang delinquents. They generally commit the most serious infraction, most often sent of the correctional institution, and most often continues in a pattern of semi-professional criminal behavior as adults. So the next is we have gang. Is frequently associated with groups in socially disorganized and deteriorated inner city neighborhoods. It is applied to youths who are engaged in a variety of delinquents, ranging from truancy, street brawls, and beer running to riots, robberies, and other serious crimes. Mo na sila ang gang. Ang gang, anong group of people nga mangkuan sila, mga violently, mag-commit mga bad things. Mga gang, mangawat, mangitag-away. Ang youth gang, it is a self-forming union of peers bound together by mutual interest. Kumbaga, gibound sila together kay naa sila mutual interest. Characteristics of gang organization. Of course, this states that a gang or gang members has collective goals. Organization, naa sila collective goals, naa sila group of people. Group of people sila, organization nga, naa sila collective of goals. Ang leadership, of course, they have leaders. Wala man goroy gang or kanang group or organization nga walay leaders. Ang gang naapod na sila. Next is we have turf or territory. It involves identification and control. Identify places like parks, housing projects, mga ana. Napod sila territory nga nasa ilahang control. Naasa ilaha ang control kaya kanang sila ang makakontrol something. And cohesiveness, it refers to a gang's very close, tight, neat organization with loyal members bound to one another by mutual friendship and common interest. Next is gang suppression. Suppression could be attained through the use of laws that would allow authorities to charge gang suits with basic criminal offenses against the person's property and public order crimes. So suppression could be attained through the use of laws din dili di siya laws. Of course, masuppress nimo ang usa ka gang or kanang fraternities or something group nga mag-commit of crime through the use of law. Of course, kay kung mag-commit sila, kaya man na i-suppress sa law, kay dili man sila dayon maka-commit of crime kay naa may law nga kaya mo punish nga ilangan gi-commit nga crime. kaya mo hatag og penalty, kaya mo piso sa ilaha. Mo nang ang masuppress ang gang through the use of law. So the next is we have module 3. So supernatural theory. Supernatural theories attribute delinquency to the demonic position with belief prevalent during the Middle Ages that criminals were influenced by the devil. So, mo ni si supernatural theory nga nag-believe ni kani nga theory is nag-states niya diri nga ang criminal is influenced by evil. Dili sila kumbaga kanang dili sila born criminal. Kumbaga gi-considered lang sila nga criminal kay tungod gi-influence sila or gi-influensyahan sila sa usa ka devil or yawa. Next is classical school theory. Cesare Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham proposed this theory, which centers around the utilitarian perspective. According to this view, individuals assess the potential benefits and drawbacks of their future actions before making a decision to act. Next is we have classical school uphold that the belief that individuals are rational and intelligent beings who possess the capacity for free will and decision making. Mo man ning gibalik-balik ni o klase sa tuwa ang classical school. So kumbaga ang kuana ni is fully aware of what you've done. Aware na ka kung sa imong gibuhat, classical school. Next is we have hedonism. Si hedonism is a doctrine that asserts pleasure as the ultimate good in life and suggests that the pursuit of pleasure fulfills moral duty. Like, kanang i-avoid nimo ang pain and always asserts pleasure. Mo ni si hedonism, i-avoid nimo ang pain and always asserts pleasure. Next is 4 case justifications. General deterrence. The punishment of delinquents and criminals instills fear in the broader population, discouraging them from engaging in delinquent acts or crimes. Like kani sila is maguna-huna daan kung unsay mahitabo sa iyaha kung mo-commit siya ana nga crime. Mo ni si general deterrence. Next is we have specific deterrence. By imposing punishment on delinquents, fear is instilled in the wrongdoers themselves, making them less likely to commit future delinquents acts or crimes. Like kani sila is kanang dili na mousab og commit og crimes kay mahadlok na siya mobalik otro sa prisuhan. That is specific deterrence. Next is we have incapacitation. Si incapacitation is incarcerating wrongdoers prevents them from committing offenses against others in society while they are confined within prison walls. Like rehabilitate them. Kani siya si incapacitation is ilaang like while gi-rehabilitate nila ang katong mga criminals, ginaprotektahan to nila ang society. Incapacitation prevents them from committing offenses against others in society. Next is retribution. Criminals or delinquents should be punished as a just response to their actions. It is morally right and fair to impose punishment in response to the harm and damage caused by their offenses. So, kung unsay mong nakumit nga kanang kung unsay ang imong nakumit nga crime, dapat mo fit pod ang punishment sa imuha. Like kanang mo ni si retribution. Kung baga kanang unsay mo balik sa imuha ba? Kung ang retribution is kana bitaw pananglitan nakakomit ka og murder ni patay ka. Ang imuhang dapat ang imuhang penalty or punishment ana is mo fit pod sa imuhang crime nga gi-commit. That is retribution. So kani sila is 4K justification of classical theories. Next is we have new classical school theory. Si new classical school theory is the theory strongly argued that severity of the classical school. It did not take into account why people commit crime. Instead, all people were held equally responsible for their behavior. So, kani sila is kani si new classical theory is argued that all people are not the same. Kani si new classical theory. Gi-argued ni siya nga ang tanan people, kita tanan tawo, dili ta parehas. Of course, di magita parehas, lahi magyud ta. And next is we have mitigating circumstances, such as age or mental condition, sometimes influence the choices that are made and affect a person's ability to form criminal intent or means rea guilty mind. So, mitigating circumstances is such as age or mental condition, sometimes influence the choices that are made. Of course, I see mitigating circumstances is kanang such as age or mental condition sa usa ka tawo, sometimes nga usahay nga makaapekto sa ato ang pag-choose ba or pag-make of decisions. That is mitigating circumstances. A modern classical school theory, rational choice theory, it claimed that delinquents are rational people who make calculated choices regarding that they are going to do before they act. So, si biological theories, these theories locate the causes of crime inside the person. So, internal factors or causes ni siya. Kumbaga, si biological theories is, ilocate nila ang cause nganong nakakommit ka og crime, ilocate na nila through inside the person. Biological theory. Criminal anthropometry. Cesare Romulus was the first to connect crime to human evolution. Criminals were atavists or throwbacks to an earlier, more primitive stages of human development. So, si physical appearance and crime, kumbaga, kani siya, kung anak ka, kung nalang kay apan sa imong hangnaw, sa imong physical appearance, malalitan, buta ka, or huwi imong ba, kriminal na ka. Murag something ingana ba? Physical appearance and crime, murag ingani siguro. Because criminals were not highly evolved. They possess stigma or distinctive physical features such as asymmetrical face, dili lang tarong imong nala kay asymmetrical face, and enormous jaw, asa taas gulsuwang pasagot ani, large or protruding ears, dagko kagdunggan, and receding chin. Ay, enormous jaw kani guro diri man ang jaw, chin man ni. Sorry po. Kani siya si criminal anthropometry. So the first one is we have physiognomy, facial features, It was physiognomy na. Facial. It was founded by G. Baptisti de la Porte. It was popularized by Johann Caspar Lavater, who linked facial figures and crime. Kini, sa imong nang basit guro kung bati lang kagnaw, criminal na ka, ana guro. Phrenology, shape of the head, sa ulo. Kung si physiognomy sa noun, si phrenology is sa ulo. From the Greek word mind and logos, knowledge. And this theory claims to be able to determine character, personality traits, and criminality on the basis of the shape of the head. Kung hiwi guro kag ulo, basin guro makonsider na ka as criminal. Mao to si phrenology. Next is we have body type and crime. So William Sheldon suggests that there was a relationship between body build and temperament, which was known as somatotype theory. He believed that human body consisted of 3 components. So kato si endomorph, viscerotania, mesomorph of ectomorph. Si soft kani si endomorph is kanang dagkuon, tambok. Soft temperament has the tendency toward plumpness, corresponds to viscerotania, temperature tolerant, love of comfort and luxury, extrovert. extrovert. Ang introvert is hindi ganahan socialize. Extrovert is si mesomorph, square masculinity and skeletal massiveness. He has the tendency towards masculinity. Si and linearity, the tendency towards lightness corresponds to cerebrotonia, temperature, artistic sensitive. So next, let's proceed to heredity and crime, IQ and delinquency. Examine the relationship between heredity and crime centered on intelligence. Suggested that every person had a mental age that could be presented by an IQ score. So the next one is we have psychological theories. Psychological theories, these theories assume that so let's proceed to Sigmund Freud, who believed that personality consists of three parts: id, ego, and superego. Si id, it is present at birth. It presents the basic biological and psychological drives. It does not differentiate between fantasy and reality. It is also antisocial and knows no rules. Ego. It grows from id and represents the problem-solving dimensions of personality. It deals with reality, differentiating it from fantasy. Superego, it develops from ego and is moral code, norms, and values the child has acquired. So, our next ang next ako nga i-discuss is si CRI 164, which is course title is Professional Conduct and Ethical Standards. So, ethics. Ethics was derived from the Greek words ethos, which means character, and from the ancient Greek ethikos, meaning arising from habit or customs. It is also known as a moral philosophy, refers to the branch of philosophy that involves systematizing, defending, and recommending concepts of the right and wrong conduct. Ethics may be divided into four areas. One is meta-ethics, ethical philosophy that analyzes the meaning and scope of moral values. The descriptive ethics deals with psychology, sociology, and anthropology, or etc. Ang normative ethics is the study of moral course of action through the practical means. Applied ethics, this branch deals as how we can achieve moral outcomes in particular circumstances. So, let's proceed to understanding human acts. Human acts are actions that proceed from the deliberate free will of men. In a broader perspective, the term human acts refers to any activity performed by men. Human acts, any activity performed by men. So, human acts is kanang ginabuhat sa tao. Any activity nga ginabuhat sa tao. This activity could be either be physical ba siya, or spiritual, internal, or external. Moral philosophy, however, treats the term human acts not in its broader but it is stricter meaning. Moral philosophy, therefore, understands human acts as actions that are proper only to men. Actions that are proper only to men. These actions are those which man does not share with the brutes for human acts are rational and willed acts. So, si human acts, voluntary. Kanang kibaw gyud ka nga gibuhat na nimo. Human acts. Kabalo jud ka. Kabaga na kay knowledge. Naay knowledge. Threefold elements of human acts. We have knowledge, freedom. Next is voluntariness. Voluntarily, ni mo nga ginabuhat nga act. Mo na si human acts. Si acts of man is kanang involuntary siya. Acts of men. Like kanang magpagtilok ni mo, kanang paginhawa ni mo, that is acts of men. Kumbaga involuntary, like mga chika, mamilok ka, or mo ginahawa ka, voluntary man, involuntary na siya. So, next is we have notion of right. Right, objectively, is anything which is owed or due, taken subjectively as possessed by a person. Right is a moral power bound to be respected by others, of doing, possessing, or requiring something. Right is founded is paghilom ba. So, kinds of right. Natural rights are those based on natural law. Natural rights, the right to life, to education, to work, are natural rights. That is natural rights. Like, ang natural rights is kanang murag, sa wala pa ka na anak, nana na nga rights, nana na siya nga mga rights. Katungod nimo nga mabuhi ka. Katungod nimo nga mo eskwela. Katungod nimo nga mo trabaho. That is natural rights. Human rights are those based on human positive laws, either those enacted by the state or by religion. Human rights, like kanang gibuhat para sa mga tao, ay kanang enacted by the state. Kumbaga, gibuhat na siya nga balaod nga naa siya purpose ba para sa mga tao, something ana siguro. Civil rights are those promulgated by the state, such as the right to form associations, the right to run for public office, kanang right to run for public office, like kanang mudagan ka for politics, ana. And the right to due process, of course, each one of us has the right to due process. Ecclesiastical rights are those promulgated by church or sect, such as the right to attend religious service, the right to be instructed the faith, and the right to the service and rights. Alienable and inalienable rights. Alienable rights are those which could be surrendered, renounce, or remove. See, alienable. Kanang pwede nimo siya, pwede katong kaning nga rights is pwede siya ma-remove sa imuha ba, like right to travel, right to liberty. Pwede makamapriso. Ang right to travel is katong for example sa pandemic, remove or girikuha pa nga tong right nga mo travel kay tungod pandemic man. Next is we have si alienable. Kini si alienable rights are those which cannot be surrendered, renounced, or removed, such as kani siya nga mga rights is dili siya pwede makuha sa imuha. That is inalienable rights, right, which is kanang examples, right to life, right to marry, and right to education. Right nimo nga piliun kung kinsa imong gusto. Right nimo nga mabuhi. Right nimo nga kanang mo eskwela. Dili ni kani nga mga rights, dili ni siya pwede ma-remove or makuha sa imo. So, juridical and non-juridical rights. Juridical rights are those based on the law. These rights are to be respected, permitted, fulfilled as a matter of justice. Kumbaga, kani si juridical is kanang sa tawag ani. Kani si juridical rights is naka-base ni siya sa law. For example, sa kanang sa mga workers, kung naama dyan ang kaan sa dole, kanang sa dole, need dyan ni mo sulduhan ang mga workers. That is an example of juridical rights. Kumbaga, kana nga butang is nakabase na siya sa law. Ang sinan-juridical is rights are those based on virtue rather than strict justice. The right of worker to wage is juridical. Wage, paswelduhan. The rights of the worker is wage. The rights of the workers to a wage is juridical. Rights sa usa ka workers nga imong swelduhan. But his right to a clothing allowance is non-juridical. Kumbaga, kani si non-juridical is kananglitan mohatag ka og kansayaha, kanang bonus, inana. Dili na siya juridical kay wala man na siya sa balaod nga need nimo atagan og pabonus ang imong workers. A right to off jurisdiction is the power of a lawful authority to govern and make laws for his constituents or dependents. Civil rights are those enjoyed by persons as private individuals in pursuit of their personal activities and their transactions with others. Political rights are those enjoyed by persons as citizens in their participation in government affairs. These include rights to run for public office. Pwede ka mudagan as public servant. Pwede ka mudagan as barangay council, SK council, or kanang Sa mga local, pwede ka mudagan as city mayor, vice mayor, congressman, nakay-katungod na mudagan, anak. Next is right to vote, right to suffrage, right nimo nga mobutar. Right of to be informed of public issues. Katungod nimo nga ma-inform about ang mga public issues. And right to public services. Ang duty, and si duty is a moral obligation because it depends upon free will of the subject person. Obligation, duty, it is your obligation to do your duty. Kani si Article 3 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution which is dili na ko ni siya i-tackle kay kuan man ni siya kana. Known naman kay ni siya. Balik-balik ra magud ni. Si natural duties are those imposed by natural law, such as the duty to take care of our health, and the duty to educate ourselves, and the duty to worship God. Natural duty. Positive duties are imposed by a human positive law, such as duty to pay taxes. Positive duties. Duty nimo nga bayaran ang mga taxes, duty nimo nga i-observe ang traffic rules, duty nimo nga move vote. That is positive duties. Example, sa positive duties, affirmative duties are those that require the performance of an act, such as duty of loving our parents and that of paying our debts. Bayad sa imong mga utang. Affirmative duties. Duty nimo nga higugmaon nimo imong ginikanan, duty nimo nga bayaran nimo imong utang. Negative duties are those which require the omission of an act, such as duty to not to kill, duty not to kill another person, and not carrying deadly weapons. Negative duties. Duty nimo nga dili mo patay. Ana. So the next is we have si command and supervisory officials ensure that policies and strategies of the police agency are based on respect for democratic government. Kani si human rights standards, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Human rights, of course, kita tanan gipanganak ta nga free na equal dignity and katungod equal rights, equal dignity. Human rights derive from the inherent dignity of the human person. Law enforcement officials shall at all times fulfill the duty imposed on them by law by serving the community and protecting all persons against illegal acts. So let's proceed to CRI 200 or 200. Question document examination. So document any material containing marks, symbols, or signs, either visible, partially visible, that may present or ultimately convey a meaning to someone, may be in the form of pencil, ink writing, typewriting, or printing on paper. So document any materials containing marks, kanang materials nga nag-contains of marks, symbols, signs, either visible or invisible or partially visible. Dili siya invisible, partially visible, that kanang may present or ultimately convey, kanang nag-present og meaning to someone, maybe in a form of pencil, gisulat, or ink writing, and typewriting or printing on paper, kanang gi-print mo na siya ang document. The term document applies to writings, to words printed, lithograph, or photograph, to maps or plans, to seals, plates, or even stones on which inscriptions are cut or engraved. In its plural form, documents may mean deeds, agreements, title, letters, receipts, and other written instruments used to prove a fact. So Latin word documentum means lesson or example. French word docere or docer means to teach. Question. Ang questioned any material which some issues has been raised or which is under scrutiny. When we say scrutiny is need to undergo examination. Scrutiny. That is kanang ang kanisya is material which some issues has been raised or which undergo scrutiny, kanang materials or kanang any materials nga nag-undergo of examination. Question document. One in which the facts appearing therein may not be true and are contested either in whole or part with respect to its authenticity, identity, or origin. It may be deed, contract, will, election ballots, marriage contract, checks, visas, application form, check writer, or certificate, etc. So, disputed document, a term suggesting that there is an argument or controversy over document. So, kani siya is, ang sulod aning document is sakto. Kani si disputed document. Ang disputed document is mura siya kanang the validity of the document na standard is kanang known source nga, known source or kibaw ka asa gikan na nga document, asa gikan nga document, known source, kibaw ka. Ang other term aning standard or standard document is specimen. So exemplar, ang exemplar is new term ni siya. A term used by document examiners and attorneys to characterize known material standards is older than. So, holographic document, any document completely written and signed by one person, also known as a holograph. In a number of jurisdictions, a holograph can be probated without anyone having witnessed its execution. Kumbaga, kani siya nga document is completely written, signed by one person. Kani si holographic document. Reference collection. Kani si reference collection is, kani siya is material nga na-collect. Reference collection, material nga na-collect. Material complied and organized by the document examiner to assist him in answering special questions. So, public document notarized by notary public or competent public official with solemnities required by law. That is public document. Next is we have official document issued by the government or its agents or its officers having the authority to do so and offices which in accordance with their creations. Si public document is PSA. Example ani PSA. Kani si official document is they are authorized to issue and be issued in the performance of their official duties. Ang private document executed by a private person without the intervention of a notary public or any person legally authorized by which document some disposition or agreement is proof. Evidence is set forth. Example is love letter. Commercial document executed in accordance with the Code of Commerce or any mercantile law containing disposition of commercial rights or obligations. Example aning commercial document is receipt, resibo or kanang resibo. Electronic document exists only in electronic form such as data stored or computer network backup, archive, or other storage media. Example ani niya is discovery kanang mga gipang email. Kana example. Next is we have paper. Paper are interlaced sheets of fibers, usually cellulose fibers from plants, but sometimes from cloth, rugs, or other fibrous materials that is formed by pulping and the fibers and causing it to feel or matte or form a solid surface. Paper. Kani. Paper. Papyrus or papyrus. This came into use about 3,500 BC. People of Egypt, Palestine, Syria, and southern Europe used the pith, soft spongy tissue of the stem of the sedge grass like herb, Cyperus papyrus to make a writing material known as papyrus. Parchment, writing material made from skin of animals, primarily of sheep. Si parchment is kani siya is ini ata nga papel is gibuhat siya gamit ang panit sa usa ka animals, which usually nga animals ang ginakuan is sheep, carnero, calves or goats. Canding was probably developed in the Middle East more or less contemporaneously with papyrus. So si vellum. Next is we have vellum, writing materials from fine skins from young calves or kids. Of the term name was often used for all kinds of parchments, manuscripts. Next is we have writing instrument, pen. It came from the Latin word penna, meaning feather. A tool for writing or drawing with a colored fluid, such as ink, or a writing instrument used to apply inks to paper is a pen. Pen, ball pen, kanang usually nga ginagamit nato sa pagsulat. Pen nibs, the two divisions or points which from writing portion of a pen are its nibs, two portion of points. Kana gurong sa tumoy, pen nibs, tumoy sa ballpen. Portion of a pen, from the writing portion of a pen. Si reed pens or swamp reed. It came from specially selected water grasses found in Egypt, Armenia, and along the shores of the Persian Gulf, were prepared by leaving them under dung heaps for several months. It was the first writing tool that had the writing end slightly frayed like a brush. About kani siya mani siya ang hitsura ni reed. Kani si reed kani na ay tumoy-tumoy. Si kelp pen. Although kelp pens can be made from outer wing feathers, balhibo of any bird, balibo sa langgam, those of goose, swan, crow, and turkey were preferred. The earliest reference to kelp pens was made by the Spanish theologian Saint Isidore of Seville. Kani siya, si kelp pen. Kaning naay balhibo. Next is steel point pens. Although pens of bronze may have been known of Romans, the earliest mention of Brazilian pens was 1465. The 16th century Spanish calligrapher Juan de Iciar mentions brass pens for very large in his 1548 writing manual. Kani mo ni siya. Si fountain pens. Si fountain pens is kuani siya, patented the first practical fountain pen containing its own ink reservoir. Waterman invented by a mechanism that fed ink to the pen point by capillary action, allowing ink to flow evenly while writing. Kani siya. Fountain pen. Katuguro niya itong ginagamit mo rin. Kani si ballpoint pen. Kining dako o kining murag pangsulat. Mo ni si ballpoint pen. Then ang nagkuanan niya is si Lacidlao and si George Bero. Si fiber tip pen. Kani siya. Kini fiber tip pen. Ang nagkuanan niya is si Yokoy Hori. Si felt tip markers. Si felt tip markers are made of the dense, natural, or artificial fibers impregnated with a dye. Kani. Next is we have ink. It's a fluid or viscous marking material used for writing or printing. Ink. Kanang nasulat sa ballpen. Kanang ginagamit sa pagsulat or pagprint. Wala si ink. Nga muluta sa papel ba? Gamiton sa pagsulat. India inks, oldest form of ink. Ancient writing inks were composed of black and a gum or glue and were mixed with water used on papyrus and vellum. Si iron gallutannate ink is made of gallutanic acid from gall nuts. Lugwood ink, ink containing potassium chromate and saturated lugwood used since about 1850. Indible ink, this ink is rarely used in paper because of its permanent heavy ink. Si copying ink, similar to writing inks in composition. Secret ink or invisible inks, ink used by spy organization in sending messages. Water-resistant writing and drawing inks. These inks are a special group of dye-stuff inks. Alphabet. Iconographs. The first form of written communication started as long as 20,000 years ago, graphically represented by arranged objects and drawing on the walls of caves and big stones. The rest is ideographs, pictographic writing, hieroglyphics, o cuneiform. Next is examination of handwriting, which includes signatures and handprinting for purposes of determining this genuineness or source. Si miscellaneous aspects such as detection of alteration. I-detect niya ang kanang gipang alterate sa usa ka document, decipherment or erased in writing, kanang gipang erase sa pagsulat, restoration of obliterated writing. Ang obliterate sa pawan siguro kanana maguro. Classes of question document. We have A. Documents with question signature. Question documents alleged to have been containing fraudulent alterations, questioned or disputed holographic wills. Holographic will entirely written in a handwriting of the testator. Handwriting, gamit ra ka ba? Ang notarial will signed by the testator before a notary public with 3 witnesses. 3 ka witnesses. And let's proceed to classes of disputed signatures, simples or spurious. Kani siya kay written freely by the impostor. Ang trace forgery is kanang naay gitrace nga signature or kanang gipaluta. Ang copied or simulated forgery is kanang carefully imitating by practicing the signature. Next is we have forged signature of fictitious person. Kanang use ang kani si forged signature of fictitious person is kanabitang fictitious person is using a imaginary names. Kani siya si forged signature of fictitious person kanang gayus ka og imaginary name ana like wala ga exist nga tao nga na ba. Genuine signature that the writer is honestly unwilling to accept is a genuine signature obtained by trickery. Genuine signature deliberately written illegibility on an unusual manner to avoid identification. Addition gidungagan, made a part of document after its original preparation. Gidungagan ang conclusion, a scientific conclusion results from relating observed facts by logical common sense reasoning in accordance with established rules or laws. Ang document examiner who studies scientifically to the details and elements of documents. Document examiners and a person nga mo examine sa usa ka document. Document examiner. Eraser, gi-erase. Removal of writings. Gi-erase ang imong gisulat. Examination, it is an act of making close and critical study of any material and with question documents. Examination, kanang mag-examine mo ang usa ka like examination kuani mo ang usa ka document is kuani mo siya sa tawag ani kanang i-undergo nimo siya examination ba ang usa ka document like critical study of any material. Studihan nimo to nga document. Ang expert witness, a legal term used to describe witness who by reason of his Special training or experience is permitted to express an opinion regarding the issue. Insertion or interlineation. The term insertion and interlineation include the addition of writing and other material between lines or paragraphs. Kumbaga, kanang insertion or interlineation kanang gi-insertan bagi kanang gidungag-dungagan murag gyapon siya addition. Non-identification or non-identity are as used in this text. It means that the source or authorship of the compared question and standard specimen is different. The source is different siya. Ang obliteration is blotting out or shearing over the writing to make the original invisible to as an addition. I-obliterate nimo. Ang opinion in legal language, it refers to the document examiner's conclusion. Ang qualification, the professional experience, education, and ability of the document examiner before he is permitted to testify as an expert witness. Next is, we have analysis recognition, observe or measured. Ang comparison is a known determined thought analysis are now. Ang evaluation, similarities or dissimilarities in properties or characteristics will each have a certain value for identification. Ang verification, it is the process of double-checking the accuracy and correctness of the examination usually conducted by the other experts in the said field. Accuracy, correspondence between results obtained the truth. Accuracy, precision, measure the consistency of a result obtained in a repeated study or experimentation. That's all, and thank you.